podcast is not for kids.
You are listening to the Red and Real podcast.
What are they going to talk about today? Whatever the hell they want.
Stay focused
So you mean I could juggle?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Juggling.
Socks. Oh, you can't really see them. I'm
Oh,
wearing
yeah.
my
You
sexy
can see in this one,
compression socks. Oh, yeah. Ooh.
Sexy in socks. Sexy. What were you saying? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah. Or wait, no. Socks. Wearing my
Wait.
sexy socks. Something like that. I don't know.
Looking sexy in my socks. I don't know. Something like that.
Sexy socks.
I don't have any socks on. So we'll keep the cameras up here.
Compression stockings.
Episode 3. Red Real Podcast. Welcome
Magic
back.
number.
Welcome back. Or welcome for the first time. You could watch them in reverse because they're all different.
Yes.
Yeah, so
I was
feeling
debating
comfortable?
like if I should be like super, like try to be all pretty and suck in my gut, or just like let out my mama gut that I've developed. This is COVID, okay?
just let it go.
It's COVID.
Just let it go.
Blame COVID. don't blame 8
The heavy
tacos.
breathing.
Don't blame the pretzel.
Oh, you put the bowl of food away. That's good. Yeah, so we should get started.
Sure.
So I know we wanted to start off a little bit different. We wanted to talk a little bit more about us with this one here, kind of part of the intro. So what should we talk
Start
about
with?
first? Yeah.
Well, I think that one of the conversations between you and I before, like, even doing this was to share, like, our humane side, you know, the very human side, not humane, human side.
We're pretty humane too.
Yeah, we're pretty humane, but the human side, just like everyday life, about just our personal lives without sharing too much. So there was concern in regards to a couple of things
Sure.
that were shown in our first episode. You know what I'm talking about.
Me quitting my job. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't worry. I'm a business owner. Yeah. So, and besides, you ain't paying my bills. But no, we're doing fine. I know we just moved into a new place. Don't worry about us. We're doing great. Health wise, we're on the up. But yeah, as far as me not having a job, this is fun. This is me actually being able to pursue one of my passions, and I get to work with this gorgeous woman.
Just kidding.
God, ruins every compliment. So terrible.
I'm sorry, babe.
So,
I'll make up for it.
but yeah, we're doing good. We're eating well.
We are.
We're staying
This
fat.
is unfortunate, but I've had mostly vegetables in the last 2 months.
Yeah, pretty much.
However
Yeah,
long
we've
it's
been
been.
eating a lot better
Yes.
to stay healthier.
Just the belly isn't catching up. But with me, I'm going to physical therapy. I'm giving it my all. I do see improvement in my walk. Last night we went to a restaurant and we didn't even consider taking the chair because I've been doing better. Whereas numbers and dates are still kind of a miss.
Part of the fog. Yeah.
Yeah, and I am doing better with kind of sensing what day it is. So I've been like trying to what
Baby steps.
baby steps.
What's today?
Yeah, like even in physical therapy, like the tech has to count for me because it'll be like, okay, well we're gonna do 2 sets of 10, and I will lose track. Like I have to count with my fingers. Because I'll lose track on my way to 10.
Do you
But
have
yeah.
to wear closed-toed shoes for physical therapy?
What?
Do you have to wear closed-toed shoes for physical therapy?
No, because shoes still hurt. Well, the sandals, my
Okay.
my what what are they called?
Slides?
My pink slides. Those are better right now on my feet, but like closed toe shoes. So they let me wear just my compression socks.
Oh, okay. I'll say as long as you have your toes exposed, then you can do up to sets of 20.
Oh, funny. No, I would lose count maybe.
Like, I don't know which toe I'm on. They're so far away.
Yes. I'd have to like touch them. But yeah, shoes, which is funny because I bought so many shoes and right now I can't wear them because even some sandals are super uncomfortable. So painful. But anyway, yeah, on the up and up, and I'm doing everything possible to keep improving mentally, spiritually, physically, in every way.
Yeah, and there's going to be a couple of other methods that we'll talk about that we've tried that have really helped. We looked into and did a lot of research and then experienced it. So it was. I think
Several.
that's been. I think that's been extremely helpful. But that'll be another episode that we talk about.
Yeah.
For this episode, next, I want to know your favorite soup.
For this episode.
For right now, yeah.
So you're just going to put me on the spot because I have not prepared for this response.
Perfect.
You know
I
how
know you
hard
like
that is.
soups, yeah.
Yes, soups are my comfort food.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I always have to say pozole. My mom's pozole specifically.
Okay. Shout out to Mama.
I've always been picky about my pozole, and that's the best pozole ever.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, like there's also pho, and then
Pho.
broccoli cheddar soup. Those I think are my like top three.
Those are okay, so those are the three on the podium.
Yeah, I think so.
So gold is pozole?
I think so, yeah, because I can eat that like 3-4 days in the same week and no problem.
Yeah. You could. Yeah, you probably couldn't do that with
For
the rest
lunch
of
and
them.
dinner. Yeah, I don't think I could do that.
Yeah, that might be too much broccoli cheddar.
I can do 2 days of broccoli cheddar.
I know.
What about you? You're not as much as the soup I
No.
had last night was shit. I'm sorry. We won't say where we went.
Yeah. No, it was at a
Some people like it.
a local restaurant. Yeah, it's not. It's
One of those chain restaurants.
Okay, but soups. I don't know. I don't do a whole lot of like soups. Like I just
No,
don't.
you don't.
I mean, we live in Arizona, so it's always hot. No. I like chicken noodle soup, but I like when it's like chunky, like big chunks of chicken, the big noodles, carrots, celery.
Yes.
So chicken noodle soup. I think my favorite soup that I had was a clam chowder in San Francisco. And it was at, I don't even remember the name of the sports bar, but it was on Pier 39. It was the sports bar there. It was actually when the Giants won the World Series.
The Giants?
The Giants, we were in the bar right when they actually clinched, and the whole place went nuts. It was really, and I'm sitting there like, it's so good. I don't watch baseball, but this is fun.
Oh, yeah, that's
but it
the
was
one
cool.
you described in a bread bowl, right?
Yes. Yeah, so they make like a fresh baked bread bowl. And there's a place next door to it that they do like shapes. Like you can get like alligators, you can get like different bowl shapes themselves. They have like I don't know, just different shapes that they would come up with.
Fun.
And yeah, you can see it kind of going through the whole factory. Yeah, like
Oh, cool. So when you taking me to San Fran, and you're wearing your San Fran hat, right? Is the Niners
it's
hat?
the Niners hat. Yeah. We need to go.
Yes. We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But we can get in, and I'm sorry, guys. Due to this thing with my memory, I do have like several notes here. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to do that episode. But we had this idea of talking about the possibility of life after death, or if there was an afterlife.
Yeah.
And I wrote down the date, February of this year, 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And this is before any of this COVID experience happened. This is before us watching any documentaries on it, because we did start getting interested and started watching a few things. So I just think that now talking about it means so much more after what I've been through. And you had
Right.
an experience too. So
February, we actually talked about it?
you don't remember this?
No.
What? We even watched that show. We talked about it like, oh, do you think that there's I can't remember how it was brought up. But since back then we kind of had the idea of making a podcast, and so we were writing. So I wrote the date right next to it. That's the only reason why I remember that. And then we watched that
Like a little
documentary.
yeah.
Well, documentary, yeah. And then there were a lot of things that seemed legit, and they cited studies that we looked into and blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
But some other stuff was like the mediumship
Right,
stuff
right.
was just...
It just seemed way too staged.
Yeah,
in
staged,
that.
exactly.
Like, I've seen some where it actually looks real, like
Yeah.
a real medium. But that one
Yeah,
I was not
that
convinced.
part of the show just
Yeah.
no.
wasn't convinced.
So yeah, so you have an experience with what you coined at that time afterlife, and now
Yeah. So I guess I have sleep apnea.
you guess.
I'm pretty sure that I'm on the verge of death every night. I think it sounds like death probably would sound like. I don't. But I'm a super heavy sleeper, so I don't wake up.
so he
for
doesn't
shit.
give a shit
No, I
if he's keeping anybody
I'll
up.
wake up the whole
or-
house just with my snore. Keep everybody up. But so I guess with sleep apnea, you can die in your sleep. Like you can basically suffocate, right? You just close off your airway and
Yes.
you're done. But there was one night one night that I had gone to bed, and when I said came to, I don't remember like waking up, but when I came to, I started to recall like this whole where I felt this whole experience, and then it was like when I came to, I was back to, all right, I'm in a dark room. This is my bed. This is not where I just was, where I felt like I was. And actually ended up writing a song, The Elevator. That should be coming out probably this Friday.
Which
And-
wasn't the original plan, but since we're talking about this, I
Yeah,
think it's
we'll move it
appropriate.
up. So this Friday, I don't know whenever that is, the 11th, I think.
You have it too.
Something like that. What's today? But there was some of the things that I could describe, from that experience, I put into that song.
Yes.
But basically, it was a lot of yes and no. It was both like extremely like dark, like pitch black dark, but it felt like you could still see everything at the same time. Like it was bright enough.
Like do you remember kind of like entering into this darkness, or suddenly you were there?
It's like I can see myself from above, but also through my own eyes.
Staring at the ground, headphones on, man, I'm vibing.
We're there.
It was, yeah, kind of like a zoom in effect, pretty much, of like just whoosh, and it all just kind of opened up. So I didn't
Yeah.
travel through a tunnel or some of those kind of experiences before. It just kind of like an opening of a scene that you would see on a YouTube video.
Yeah.
So it just kind of opened up like that, and then I was there, and I wasn't on anything, but I felt secure. Felt kind of like I was weightless, but I was sturdy. It was a lot of both sides of everything. And I could sense that there were multiple presences, or not like people, but energies.
Yeah.
Because there weren't figures. I wasn't making out people. I wasn't seeing loved ones or anything like that. I could just feel these energies, and they just felt very warm, very welcoming, just open arms, kind of is the vibe that you would get from them. And It was silent, but it sounded beautiful.
Yeah.
And not because of the silence. It was a very, and I'm.
So now that you say that, I'm just like, it made sense in the song, but like describe that.
I don't know. Like, it's just, it was like blank. Like, if you ever put like noise canceling headphones on, and you put them on and it just goes, and it kind of closes in on your hearing, and it quiets everything down. It was that, but at the same time, it was like a full on just symphony, just playing just amazing music.
But it was silent.
But it was completely silent at the same time.
Wow. Okay.
And it was like very still, but there was like a lot of just. I describe it as like intensity, like you can just feel.
Yeah.
Everything going on, but there was nothing going on. Like it sounds crazy to try and describe.
Yes. No, well, I had an experience too.
Right.
But for me, it was different. And we were talking about that earlier, how, there are similarities, yet everyone experiences it just a little different. And what we've heard and read about near-death experiences and what I've seen too in patients and the few that came back or whatever those transitions are. Yeah. For me, it was more like there was a big window and God asked me if I really wanted to live. And he kind of like pushed me to the window. So I experienced it. And it's what you say, like two things at the same time. Yeah. So and it's kind of like.
And that's another thing too. You said God asked me if I wanted to live.
Yeah.
I didn't hear any other like main God voice.
I think it's God. Like
energies.
I didn't see anything. I just felt something take me by the hand, and it's like it's kind of like what I tell you. I feel and hear when I hear my angel. Yeah. It's kind of like there's a voice that's not really a voice that I know is not my head because my thought sounds different and feels different. It's more like a just calm sensation in my body. No matter what the news is, it's a calm sensation in my body, but like kind of like a sturdy, calm, yet serene, yet deep voice right in my ear.
Morgan Freeman.
No. Morgan Freeman.
Has to be Morgan Freeman.
He does everything else. I don't need him right in my ear all the time.
I can listen to Morgan Freeman all day.
He's wonderful, but it's enough.
Oh, God.
So yeah, it was like I got kind of pushed into that window, and all of a sudden I was in the space that was completely dark but light at the same time. And I didn't originally describe it as intense like you did, but I understand that intensity that you're describing. And it was like a constant hug. But when you hug a human, you feel like the hand, you feel their weight on your body and you feel their warmth. You can start sweating, and you didn't feel that. It was like a warm hug that didn't make you hot. And the air, it was just like it consumed every cell. It was like it was going through me, and it felt cool without being cold.
Right.
So it's like two things at the same time where there is no polarity, there is no duality. It's all like beginning and end. You get that sensation of beginning and all within. That's what it was for me. It's like I became a star, one of the stars, kind of like Mufasa in The Lion King says that
special effects. Totally forgot the lights.
So I mean, anyway, those are our experiences, and I think that your song portrays that. I don't want to linger too much here because we didn't make this podcast with the interest of solely sharing our experiences or what we believe. We really do want to educate ourselves or continue educating ourselves. You and I have always been people that like reading books. Like there's your shelf with books. I have books all over the place, even though I don't understand a lot of it right now. But just to inform ourselves and learn about everything that's around us. And so
Yeah, and
wanting
we want
to
to
do the
hear
same.
your guys' experiences too. So, I mean, please send us an email, send us a video clip, a little message through Instagram. We'd like to hear your guys' experiences, like, near death, out of body experiences. We're going to talk a little bit about that and some of the studies that we looked into and some of the even just historical pieces of it.
Yes.
That kind of stuff.
A little bit, yeah.
And some other experiences. Last thing is, you said everything felt kind of like a warm hug.
Yeah.
And one thing that I remember is like all of the senses kind of blended together too. Like I could touch the darkness. Like I could feel it.
Okay.
Like if you turn the lights off and you just reach around, you're just touching the air.
Oh yeah, I see what
like,
you're saying.
In that, like I could grab it like it had mass.
Huh.
It was like I could feel it as I was walking around and
kind of like all the senses are kind of superimposing and you don't know what's what, but it's there and it was just like a
super interesting.
Like all the energies combined almost.
Yeah.
And same thing, like, there's no sense of lack. It's just you belong all of a sudden without being something specific. You just belong to this energy. Mm-hmm. So before that experience, the elevator for you.
Yeah.
Did you believe in afterlife?
I'm not sure that I still don't or do. Even after an experience like that?
Intriguing. Okay. I've always believed that there was something. I didn't know what happened, but that there was something. Why? Because of just different experiences, me hearing voices, me being able to be in touch with my angel. To me, if there's somebody else that's standing right here constantly protecting me and guiding me with voice and leading me to the right spots, because when I've asked my angel for assistance, like I get to where I want to be. And so it's like there has to be something else. Mm-hmm. There has to be, to me, God. That's the word that I designate for that energy, for our source. But yeah, for me, it was always something that was there. I just didn't understand, and I had no idea what it could feel like, and feared death. And now I don't. I know that it's beautiful and wonderful. I just know that I am also so ready to create here on Earth.
Yeah, and so that's kind of it. Like I no longer fear death because it kind of seems like this is just it's a part of the journey.
Yeah. You
don't actually die. There is no afterlife because you still continue living.
Ah, okay. Yes. Kind of like you
just take a different form.
Yeah, the infinite.
You go into a different dimension, that we can't see, like the ones that we were looking into, the 8th dimension and that kind of stuff.
Yes, or the 200 trillion different what was it, galaxies? What was it?
Yeah, the 200 trillion galaxies that are observable right now in the universe.
Galaxies, or I couldn't remember if it was galaxies, universes, or whatever. Yeah. But that will have to be another topic because that's kind of loaded and in itself. But yeah, you said we would get into like some history and other things. Should I start over here with my cards? So. We would welcome you to look up in TED Talk. There's a physician by the name of B.J. Miller, and you can help me out. I wrote bullet points, but he is a hospice and palliative care specialist, and has now become a public speaker also because of his situation. And so he tells a story about being in his college days and because of an accident, getting on what is that called?
Commuter train. Yeah, so the ones that run off like the electrical wiring, just above it.
Yeah.
So he had an accident with that. That was terrible, horrendous. He ended up losing an arm and both of his, two of his legs from, I guess, just below the knee down.
Yeah.
And persevered. Now he's a doctor and helping others.
Went back to college, studied art, then got into medical school, and now he has this center called Zen Caregiving Center. I think it's what it is. The website is zencaregiving.org. So essentially, what they do is they practice and teach mindfulness and caregiving and palliative care. So it's also hospice, but he makes it a point to say that palliative care isn't just for terminal illnesses, end of life,
Right.
but it's also for chronic illnesses and any point where you are giving care to somebody. So for healthcare professionals to view things from a more humanistic side and allow and prepare the senses to experience life so that those last days or during pain or whatever it may be, you're able to enjoy because it's through the senses that you experience life on Earth.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that he said that stood out for me is like he lost a lot, right? And
Yes.
and he was also talking about even, being just feeling connected with one sense that you have. If you can see, if you can hear, if you can feel, taste, you still have that human connection, even through just one sense. So, going through all chronic pain, chronic illnesses, and all of that can, a lot of times, people lose their hearing, lose their eyesight. So they'll have to deal with that, and they have to, find different ways to now connect with other people.
Yes, and so that's what they're doing. I really love what they're doing. They're based in San Francisco, is where he has this center. I think I can't remember what else he does. Those are the ones that I wrote down. So they offer courses and workshops and training for all kinds of caregivers, whether you are in the healthcare field or you take care of a loved one. There's just different courses that one can take, and really the whole point of his center is to spread and spread this message and create a change in how we deal with grieving, essentially.
Right.
So that we don't just draw out the last few days, but it's enjoyable and it's you're providing good food, music, all that's needed to really create comfort.
Yeah, and then you have a more, he was suggesting a more positive, like, send-off as well.
Yes.
From this facility, they would have, the person coming out, but they would stop and have anybody in the community come by and, just drop flower petals
Yes.
onto the bed and, say any last words, share any stories that they had. Just kind of a last little celebration as they leave, as opposed to very cold. All right, get the fuck out of here, and
as it is in the hospital. Yeah,
slam it and head off.
yeah,
So, that kind of starts the whole process on a more positive,
Yes.
way.
Yes.
But even just kind of leading up to it it's just kind of changing that whole end.
yeah. My abuelita, my grandmother, would tell us that her mother would always forbid them, like, the day I die, I forbid you to cry for the first 24 hours because I need my soul to leave my body and leave in peace. And if I see you guys crying, I'm going to want to stay and I'm ready to go. So right now that you said that, that's, it's curious that he refers to this, like, that initial to facilitate that transition in peace and in joy.
Right.
So yeah, quite interesting.
Yeah, especially because you do the the wakes there or funerals. A lot of people will call them celebration of life, and so I think just kind of that would help with the grieving process
As well. Yeah,
overall.
yeah. To accept it as a part of life, because really that's what it is. Death is a part of everyday life, and people don't realize it.
Yeah.
And that perhaps is another topic, because of how much we don't realize that death is just a constant in our lives. And we fear it so much, but really it's more the fear of missing that person, because they're in a better place, as cold and harsh as that sounds. I think you're thinking exactly what I'm thinking about that other TED Talk with, like, we were like, oh, no, we can't hear any more of this.
Oh yeah, I couldn't really just. I was trying to understand from that perspective. I was just having a hard
Yes.
time, and I know you wanted to, like, I want to hear this. I don't agree with this.
But I want to hear it, because that's the only way that, like, I feel I can understand a topic completely, is if I hear, like, opposing sides.
Mm-hmm.
And so the TED Talk was a female that came to share her story about how nasty people can be when someone is grieving the loss of in her case, it was her husband at a young age died, and so she's grieving, and she got told,
Yeah.
get over it, you need to do this, get rid of his stuff, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But it seemed like she was just stuck on, how dare they be so nasty? Like, I'm gonna love him forever. And even when people, like, remarry after they're widowed, the new spouse needs to be okay with the fact that they're not over that death, and they will be in love with this person forever. But then to me, it's like, okay, you can have love for a person forever, that's fine, but to get stuck in that sorrow, that's a mental and emotional issue. If you grieve appropriately, then it's not a problem. You let them go, they rest, you move on with your life. Of course, if you're at the wake and someone tells you, you got to move on with your life, find yourself another man, of course that's horrible and a
Little
slap
too
to the
soon.
face. Too soon.
Way too fucked.
But being realistic, that's what you got to do, because what are you going to do? Die with your dead and then not live out your life?
No, I
Is
mean,
that really what they would have wanted?
right. Yeah, and especially if you have, I mean, the rest of your family is still going to be there around you, so I mean, you still have to be part of their lives, and you do play a role in that too. So you can't just get stuck in the darkness and the sorrow and the sad. You have to be able to push through it.
Yeah. And it's just defeating to be in love with someone that's not responding, right? Like, you're crying to a wall at this point, or somebody that's there but can't come into this plane. So anyway, there has been a lot of research into, and we were very surprised actually to learn that there's so many universities across the world that are dedicating time, research, money, grants, all this stuff to
Contests
studying.
even.
Contests, yeah, that was pretty cool.
So let me grab it. So it was the guy, or the institute, is the Bigelow Institute for Consciousness Studies, BICS. They launched a contest earlier this year. You had to submit your application by February of 2021, and February 28th, and all the applicants were either approved or denied to participate in the contest. They have until August 1st to submit a 25,000 word or less essay on proof that there is an afterlife or there isn't, and just they don't really expect proof, but they want you to excuse me, to make your most suggestive essay that you can. For or against if there is truly an afterlife. So they're putting up $1.5 million. The first place is going to get $500,000 for their essay. Second place, they get $300,000, and then third place, $150,000. There'll be 11 more winners that get $50,000 apiece.
What?
So
that is awesome. Too bad we didn't hear about it before.
We could have done the research.
And we were wondering, and I placed the date on that note, and February is precisely when we were talking about that.
Talking about all this stuff, yeah.
About afterlife and a quick Google. Dang it.
Yeah, but winners will be announced November 1st. So if we put it on the calendar, we'll keep you guys updated on any news or what that comes from. So I'm curious to see what.
Heck yeah.
I mean, I want to read. I wonder if they're going to post all the essays. Like all the winners.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, for all that money. Well, because that'll be another episode. But yes, I'm sure that they will. But yeah, we were doing that. Should we talk a little bit? I referenced the Bible a little bit because in our search, we found kind of like this. I don't know. I don't know if it was like an extremist or like it wasn't Christian. But, he was essentially saying there is no separation of soul and body. The church has interpreted that there is. And so with the promise of an afterlife, but there really isn't an afterlife because it is one. And so it caught my attention because, as you know, I would read the Bible since I was a little girl. And I hear other people's interpretation of it. And I'm like, I've always been like, no. Now, through that near-death experience, then to me, it's like a different understanding altogether.
Yeah.
So they quoted Ezekiel 18:20, and they took one line out of that, just the first line, without quoting the entire thing. And so that's another thing that when you look at just one line instead of the whole context, it can be very open for interpretation, and that can be very dangerous.
Yeah, for sure.
So that is, it says as it follows: the soul who sins is the one who will die. That's where they stopped. And so to them, it means the soul or person,
the being
the
creature
that commits a sin will die. So that means you die, there's a separation, no more being.
Right.
So,
done.
Yeah. So what they heard is a sin. What to Catholics, to Christians, what a sin is something that you did that's wrong morally or in the eyes of God, that then should earn you punishment, essentially, right? The way I see, okay, and so then the full verse is: the soul who sins is the one who will die. The Son will not shove the guilt of... Oh my God. I'm so sorry. My handwriting is so bad right now because of the muscular issues. I don't even know what the fuck I wrote. I do know this. Okay.
You got this.
The Son will not share the guilt of the Father, nor will the Father share the guilt of the Son. The righteousness of the righteous man will be credited to him, and the wickedness of the wicked will be charged against him. So, to me, what sin means is anything that you do as a human that will impede your soul, its complete expression on this earth.
Okay.
So, guilt, for example, that's a sin. Because if you hold guilt, who are you holding that against?
Yeah, you're only holding that against yourself.
Against yourself. And if you feel guilt, is because you believe you did something wrong, and on this earth we believe that if we did something wrong, we deserve punishment. So then you get punishment. And so that's kind of like a short explanation of karma. And that's what it says. It will be credited against him, or it will be credited to him.
Right.
Karma. It'll come back because what you're doing is to you. So it's not that there's God up there, looking at everything and, that he did right. Oh, that he did wrong. It's what are you doing against yourself that is affecting you more than feeding you and those around you.
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of interpret that.
How are you improving yourself and those around you to earn that positive credit back too? Because, if you live,
Wait, credit back?
Well, I guess not really credit back. I mean, just to walk the right path.
Sure.
Follow the the book to the T. Dot every I.
Sure, but there is like no book. We write our book. And it's anything that impedes you from really writing your book the way that you want to write it. That's it.
Okay.
The way that you want to write it. So if you
that's your free will.
That's your freedom, yes. So is that still recording? Okay.
We're good to go.
So like for example, we're tied to thinking, by 18, we have to know exactly what we're going to do with our adult life. Well, who's to say that? Or you have a dream,
Yeah.
you want to achieve something, but for some reason or other, you've stopped because you feel the weight of your responsibilities, or you feel the weight of your family members telling you that this is what responsible adults look like, or how is it that you're going to leave a job and that's steady, that fuels you, but then you have this desire, and so you stop because you're like, okay, I want to do this, I have this desire, but I feel like, or I think I have to settle and provide this for the others. So you're cheating yourself. So you're sinning against yourself.
Yeah, well, thank you. Got a little personal real quick, man.
Just an example. Oh my God, that's been the same for me too.
No, but I mean, even since I've done that though and left, I feel so much better. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like the weight is off, and I get to do stuff that actually fuels me.
Yeah, and we're spending more quality time together, and with the kids too, where it was just like you were loving us, but you weren't there.
Yeah, I was there in little
Just
bits
little
and pieces.
bursts. Yeah.
Like I got a break here. I got 5 minutes here. I'm eating at 11:30 at night, midnight.
Yeah, like your first meal of the day.
First meal of the day, last meal of the day. Wake up at 6 and do it again.
First
earlier.
night. Yeah. So that's kind of how I've now understood what real sin is. It's we don't have, God doesn't have a ledger like counting the goods and the bads. So yeah, so that's the little Bible reference.
So I know this is something that you had looked into, was more on the Aztec side of things and what they saw and what they practiced.
Yes. So the thing is that, and why Aztec is why I wanted to bring it into this episode. We're Mexican. Well, you have other
Mexican, Spanish,
Colombian,
Native American.
So I'm Mexican. So obviously I have some Native. I just said obviously. I have
obviously.
A lot of Native in me. It's very obvious by my
You should
physique.
see her tan that gets so red.
That's indigenous.
Yeah.
There's also Spanish, so I think that the Spanish took over in my physique. But
I'm glad you can't see the red on my forearms from yesterday.
you got a little sunburn, yeah.
Should be okay.
I got like 3 more freckles
Oh.
from meditating in the park. But you're gonna have to redirect me.
To where? To the Aztecs?
Okay.
Because we're Mexicans.
Okay, yes.
Obviously.
So obviously. So I think there are parts of me that do. Never mind. I will keep that to myself. Okay. So
For $3.99 though,
what?
we're gonna post our PayPal me, send us $3.99, and she'll finish that sentence.
Okay.
Oh fuck. Okay.
So anyway, the Aztecs are important to me because of our heritage, and they're really, our ancestors from our Mexican side. So it was believed the Aztecs and Mayans had the custom of sacrificing many, many people a year to the gods so that the sun would rise, because they believed that if they didn't receive their blood sacrifice, then the sun didn't rise, and then thus didn't provide for their crops and everything else that comes with the sun.
Yeah, you hear a lot of just beating hearts being taken out, just
ripped out on the altar, and
virgins specifically, being sacrificed.
Yes.
And given to the gods, and that kind of helped fuel the rest of everyone that was still here in this
Yes.
form.
And now we know that there definitely has been a misinterpretation of that. It's the Tzopantli, which they have translated as wall of skulls, or altar of skulls.
Altar.
So both.
Oh.
Both
Okay.
are translations.
Okay, good. I was confused. Anyways.
So anyway, so yeah, they translated it. Honestly, I think that didn't happen by accident. That translation, incorrect translation. I think that it happened so that they could make our ancestors more into villains, and that way the colonizers could take over with more reason, because they were violent and they sacrificed people, their own people, or other tribes. So to say that they were always in war. So
So it all got politicized.
yes, as most things do. So really, it turns out that the meaning of that and its roots, that I can't remember right now exactly what they mean, but essentially it's an altar, or it's skulls, row of skulls, essentially. Mm-hmm. But really what it meant to them, it was a reminder of all the people that lived in an exemplary form. So it was the skulls after they had passed and their remains, had decomposed. Mm-hmm. Then they would grab these skulls of warriors, or they mentioned something too about slaves, of slaves who also kind of like, it was people that had been enslaved for something that they had done wrong to the tribe or the community, and so they had been enslaved. And so if they kind of revindicated themselves in the community, then now they were considered exemplary, and so their skulls would then be a part of this wall. But it was a constant reminder of how to live life and be connected with earth, and like, we're all going to end up here in death.
Right.
So live your life so that you are content with what comes after. So that was kind of, and it turns out that the Mayans did the same thing. There's proof of this in Chichen Itza and the Toltecs. There's proof in ruins of that too.
Yeah, and they all had like pyramids and just holy like temples, places just specifically for that. So I know they had like the sacrifices and there was the gods, but was there anything that you had found as far as like what they believed, if there was an afterlife, for those that were sacrificed, or just for those that naturally had passed?
It's more like becoming a part of, like, joining your body back with Mother Nature. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of that consciousness and that living in harmony with your creator and your land. So it's more of a native belief, and for most native tribes, that you pass, and it's not the idea of an afterlife. It's more of becoming one. Yeah.
It's kind of getting all just reconnected and continuing the cycle of what this whole world is.
Of life, which they have that very very well managed, that whole idea of we are all part of the same cycle. Nothing is greater than the other.
Yeah, and that's kind of a little similar to it was called moksha in Hinduism. Mm-hmm. That they because they believe in reincarnation, so you have to live a very good life, a very holy life, and you continue to do that, and you have to meditate and go through all of the practices and all the rituals, and live your best life. And we're human, we're not perfect, so you're not going to get it right the first time. So you get reincarnated and you come back and you try again, and then you have to continue. And there was a story about how many they're asking how many lifetimes
does it take
to get to
center
moksha.
of the Tootsie Pop. I'm sorry.
and the moksha flavored Tootsie Pop. And there was an old bitter guy. He was like, you have 10 lifetimes. And he's like, oh, son of a bitch, and I got 10 more of these damn things to go. And there was another younger guy that had passed. Like, how many more lifetimes do I have? And he said, I'm sitting under a tree, or he was sitting under a tree, very green, full of leaves, thousands and thousands of leaves. And they say you have to live as many lifetimes as there are leaves. Once all these fall from the tree, then you will achieve moksha.
Yeah.
And he freaked out and got super happy. He's like, I'm gonna get there.
Yeah.
I'd have to go through quite a bit, but I'm gonna get there.
Why not? Yeah.
So, that was, and then ultimately that proved that he had achieved it. With that kind of realization, of the whole thing. So I thought that was kind of...
what was this, like a story, or just kind of like the way to explain what moksha is, and that you shouldn't like be stressed about achieving it? Just
yeah.
So it kind of sounds like it's also kind of like a checklist. Like if you live this way and that and that and that and that, then you've achieved this life. You still have this and this and this, so you got to do it again, because it's almost like punishment or consequence to not having lived in the holiest way.
Mean, there's like, it seems like oversimplifying, like a checklist, but like there's rules, there's commandments, there's things to follow in every religion. So
sure.
I guess it's similar in that sense too. Like a lot of the religions will have that. If you follow all these, and you're going straight to heaven.
Now in the Jewish community, they have the first 10 commandments that we all know, but there's 163 mitzvot. Please don't kill me for saying these things wrong. I'm not Jewish, but I do like
Gabe,
learning of different things. Yeah, Gabe, please. So 163. Like, people find it hard to follow 10 commandments, not to think of 163 commandments. But it's like they're given in order, so the 10 are the most important, and then after that, all the other ones is we invite you to. But because there is no sensation of life, of heaven or death or hell, right. They're simply joining the Creator, and the possibility of something else that we don't have the certainty. That's pretty much what it is. So it's an invitation to live the love of your Creator and share that love of your Creator with the rest of the world. That's kind of what I've gathered from Jewish.
Yeah, and they're all different. I was raised Catholic, and I just never, I don't know, and that's why I say I'm not sure that I completely believe in the afterlife. I had a hard time, and still do, with accepting, like, all right, if you break these commandments, or if you sin, you're getting punished, you're going to hell for all of eternity. Like, I forgot which which speaker said it, but he was like, it's bad enough just having the day-to-day human duties.
Yeah.
Like, knowing the almighty, strongest Creator made everything is going to punish you for the rest of your life he's like, that's so much pressure.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I have to be perfect.
And a lot of the times, it's this punishment comes from simply making use of these wonderful treasures that we were given to be human. So it's like, okay, we talked about original sin, like, how is that even a thing? But we should cover that in our topic with religion. So
we have we have that whole episode.
Yeah.
We'll definitely dive into that for sure.
Yes.
So, there's heaven, hell, purgatory, reincarnation, become one with the earth. So there's lots of different, afterlives, or others say, when you're dead, you're dead.
Yeah.
Stephen Hawking, you're a computer, you're a fucking machine. When the machine's dead, doesn't work anymore. Throw the parts away, do it again.
Well, now they're making people infinite through being able to load all your thoughts and history and reactions and I don't know what else in
all of your social
AI.
media accounts, all of your emails, your messages,
spending habits, your debit card transactions.
Yeah,
to get
digitize
like
all that.
to like create this persona that can continue being you after you're gone, kind of. But we've always been in the chase of the afterlife. We've always been in the chase of being able to live after we die.
Yeah.
Like the Egyptians, like they've built these tremendous monuments and kingdoms, palaces to themselves, really, to ensure their path to the afterlife and ensure that for their descendants that the sun keeps rising. So achieving Ka.
And we keep speaking about them, which I thought was a cool little fact.
Yeah.
Like they put their names in all of the hieroglyphics and in the stories.
That we watched National Geographic, the Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman. But yeah, they put their names into these repetitively so that when people are reading it, they want their names to carry them on through eternity. That's how it's another way that they live forever.
I'm going to have to make a song just with like my nickname, just repeated nicknames, names, all that shit. Just on repeat. So it's there forever.
Forever. Yeah. Which microphone you want to sing on?
That's not right now, baby.
Come on. Okay, fine.
Anyway, so we've talked a little bit about, well, we cited one thing from the Bible, and truth is that there are scholarly articles on this. There's actually been research from universities. We talked a little bit about B.J. Miller, and we also have stuff. Do you want to go first from what you gathered?
Sure, yeah. I mean, as far as trying to prove, there is an afterlife or even just like consciousness and an awareness after we are like medically dead, once you've passed.
And consciousness being defined as like the existence of self, that awareness of what you are, that thing that is not your body, but it connects to your body so that you can be a human on this earth. What I call soul.
Yeah, right.
Not consciousness, like being awake.
Right. Yeah, like you as the insides, that whole stew inside. But it was the University of Southampton, and it was in 2008, so it was actually fairly recent. I'm curious, I'm going to keep digging. I'm going to see if there's more recent studies about it. But they studied 2,060 patients, 15 hospitals in the UK, US, and Austria. Okay. And they were measuring awareness after somebody had passed. So basically, you die, your heart stops, your brain stops, your lung stops. You're dead, right? Once your heart stops, usually 20 to 30 seconds later, your brain is over with and your lungs are no longer bringing anything in or out. But, I mean, of course, there's a period of time that you can be resuscitated and brought back to life. And, I mean, I guess that would be a little bit, I mean, do you have any, I don't know exactly how much time, because they kind of reference, like, it could be a couple of minutes, it could be hours that you can still bring somebody back to life. I don't know if it would go that long.
I mean, okay, so medically, with the assistance of atropine and all the good stuff, CPR, any of the resuscitation techniques, then I can say that several minutes would be reasonable. But really, if you've been, like at least in the hospital setting, if you've been using your resuscitation methods for 20 minutes, realistically, you're not going to get anything. Even if we're talking about lack of oxygen and appropriate oxygenation to the brain, after 2-3 minutes, there's going to be damage. So think about 20 minutes. So then at that point, that's why you call it, because you could keep trying, but you're just going to exhaust yourself and you're going to end up with a lot of damage. But then there are stories, like we heard from that National Geographic documentary, of a guy that was underwater for 18 minutes and he was brought back and he doesn't have any neurological damage.
Right. He went through a whole, near-death experience. He was probably dead because we can't breathe in salt water. He was out in the middle of the ocean. And
in the middle of a storm.
20, 30-foot waves just and took him out. And once you get in the water, you don't know up, down, left, right. and like he said, there's only so long you can hold your breath, and then finally,
Yeah.
it's done. You shared with me a really fun fact about
I think we should save that.
this. For what?
Because we're talking about the afterlife. That doesn't really come into that.
It could be one way that somebody, I mean, even if
No.
if it goes so bad.
I am not willing to share those
This would
ideas.
be the silver line
No.
of that particular way of going.
So, just in general, okay? Like, there's details to this. Like, it's not as simple. It's not like, this is how I want to get off, okay? But
Whoa,
it's
hint.
it's been proven. It's been proven that people who experience death through drowning have, like, a small orgasm at that end. In that end, with the drowning, like in the choking, there's an orgasm. And I was able to practice a couple of autopsies where we were able to prove that, where unfortunately we did have a couple of people pass in the lake in Ciudad Guzman. So that he was fascinated by
I'd
that. He's
never
like, I
heard
think
that.
I want to
Oh my
drown. Seriously? Should I say what my response to that was? No.
What? I don't think I remember your response right now.
Seriously?
You're probably going to say, well, I don't know.
I told him I would drown him in this pussy, and then he could go that way.
That's right. So for $3.99, we can continue that story.
$3.99.
PayPal me.
Okay.
Anyways, so way off track. But I just thought that was a crazy little fact I thought we should share. Where were we?
Life after death. Anyway, let's get over here. So.
It was the study, University of Southampton.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yes.
2,000 people, 15 hospitals, and they found. A lot of these were like cardiac arrest, people having heart attacks, basically. I know I'm looking at you like you're gonna probably correct me on.
No,
some of
I
this
just can't
medical
believe
stuff.
I just said that about driving.
But so these people, there were 39% of them that reported feeling or going through a near-death experience. So going through the tunnel, seeing light at the end of the tunnel, going towards the light, the feeling of warmth and welcoming, and just the basics like that. From this particular study, there was they were trying to measure awareness as well by seeing what people would recall and trying to validate that. So the others that were saying that they had like an out-of-body experience, they described like looking down at themselves and actually seeing themselves in the hospital or in their situation where they were actually dead.
Yeah.
And describing what they saw around them. Not a lot of great detail in what they were able to describe, but there were two that confirmed that they were able to validate that they were seeing and hearing things that were going on in the hospital while there was flatline, no movement in the brain, nothing in the lungs. But they described the conversation that took place, who was in the room, and they were able to validate this information.
Yeah.
Like, that's not supposed to be possible.
Right. And it's like they can't prove or deny it scientifically.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that these things happened and that you had a limp body in front of you, and how in the world could they see all that, right?
Yeah.
This reminds me of a story, of course, like a few of the things that have happened to me or around me that kind of prove an afterlife. So I think I've told you this story. In Outlan, when I was in my internship, one day we were gathered in the nurses' station, and one nurse had been gone. She took like a 3-week vacation, and when she came back, she was like, you know what? When I came back from vacation, I tried sleeping in that room. So there was this like computer room that sometimes we would sneak in and take naps in during the night. So she's like, I tried to take a nap in that room, and as soon as I closed my eyes, I just felt this energy, and there was this guy, and he looked crazy. It was like he had very few hairs on the top of his head. He didn't have legs, and he was like dragging himself down the hall in the hospital and saying, help me, help me. I died of thirst. They let me die of thirst. And we looked at each other and we're like, and I remember because it was bed 13 that he was in.
That's my number.
Yeah, that's my number too. So we were like, that sounds like bed 13, because there had been this guy that had been hospitalized for like a month and a half. And he had his legs amputated because he was diabetic. And because there was, I can't remember if we were trying to prepare him for dialysis, but that surgery, you need to have them, like not eat anything. But he died in that process, and he kept saying he was thirsty. And so we didn't give him water because we were prepared. He was MPO for surgery, so you couldn't give him anything, and he died. And so we were like, describe him.
Would that
and
have
that's
kept
exactly
him, Would
how.
that have kept him alive? Just like a drink of water?
No.
I'm like, you're too
He
far
wasn't
gone by a
dehydrated.
sip
He
is
died
gonna
out of the
actually-
consequences of a complicated case of diabetes.
Yeah.
But
in
she
this form.
but she had been gone during his hospital stay.
Was
she
supposed
never
to be
met
assigned to
him.
him or anything? Oh, okay.
She never met him. When she comes back, he had passed, and she dreamt of this man telling her, they let me die of thirst. And that was his complaint before he died, is give me water. And then he was gone.
What the hell?
Like, so
And
there...
she dreamt that, though. She didn't, like, see it. It wasn't a vision or something that she saw.
She said she dreamt it because she went in, she laid down. As soon as she closed her eyes, she felt like she fell asleep. Like this energy just took her.
Yeah.
So, and she saw that. So we were like, that's who you saw. So never again, never again wanted to go into that room. And many other stories that to me, it's like, I don't need anything else. I don't need these scholarly articles that we have researched anyway to provide in this episode. But to me, I don't need any of that because I've lived things and I've experienced things with people that, like, there's no space for doubt.
Yeah. The coolest thing that I looked up was
my face.
Your face.
Other
was
face?
The University of Yukon. What?
I said my other face?
Other face. Anywho, so University of Yukon Journal of Near-Death Studies, and this was way back in the winter of 97.
Okay.
So this was 24 years ago, 23 and a half years ago.
I don't know.
Math. 31 blind respondents were used for this study. They had been seeked out or searched out, found, something like that.
So glad I'm not the only one that says stupid shit.
Words are hard. These people responded to wanted ads in the Craigslist. No, different
Craigslist,
societies.
yes.
Yeah, different, societies for the blind had reached out to people saying, "Hey, we have this study. It's if you're interested, let us know." So 31 people made it through the whole vetting process. There were. They were looking for a few things. So, if they had near-death experiences, if so, were they like those that are sighted people that can see?
Oh, yeah,
Are they the same? Are they similar? Mm-hmm. And then the same thing for out-of-body experiences. Are they the same as for those that are, that have their sight? And then could we validate?
Yeah.
Find the proof.
How would they know? Especially blind from birth?
Yes. So, not all of them.
Okay.
I think they said like 14 or so were blind since birth. There were a few more that went blind right after birth. They were like over-oxygenated in an incubator years and years ago, and it caused blindness. Mm-hmm. a couple that went blind between the ages or under the age of 7, and then the rest were beyond that to 41.
Okay.
So it was a mix of people. So real cut of life, and they found they have near-death experiences. They described them just like they would for someone who had been sighted,
Their whole life.
and then some of the out-of-body experiences were able to be validated. And the cool thing was that they were trying to describe seeing. Even the people that were blind from birth, in this like experience that they had,
Yeah.
they were describing people, what they looked like. They said that it just kind of just happened. It felt natural, and they were like, "Well, I guess I'm good to go now. Like I'm gonna take this back with me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Now I see.
come back. I'm gonna see." And it wasn't like a weird thing. Like holy crap, I'm freaking out. I don't know what this is. Mm-hmm. It was just like I know what everything is around me, and it was a very like peaceful experience for these people that had that experience.
Yeah.
And they were describing things that there's no way that they should know how to describe.
Right, because they've never seen it.
Yeah. One of them, she said, I don't know if it was she or he. One of the respondents, they said that how did they put it? They couldn't even comprehend light. Like they don't understand what that means, because they've been blind since
Being
birth.
a blind person. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they know that
so
the
this
word
is completely blind because there are
yes.
blind that can see light.
Yes.
Okay.
And so they know the word shadow, but they couldn't describe a shadow to you. They just don't know how light works.
Right.
What that means. So I just thought that was crazy, but they just felt super comfortable. They went into a lot of their near-death experiences. There's a whole document online. It shows a lot of the summaries of it. Has a few of the cases where it really gets into a lot of detail. And what you and I both described in our experiences, they were describing too. So
Yeah, which is crazy to think.
yeah, you're going towards a light. It's very welcoming. Someone noticed 5 very significant figures. And this is from the blind people. So they're pointing out people in this near-death experience, saying, oh, these were, 2 mentors of mine. These were 2 childhood friends that were also blind that died when they were 6 and 11 that are here to visit me, and this is my grandma.
Oh, how cool.
So
Which is another thing that I had in my experience is being able to speak and meet people that are on the other side.
right. And not just directly. I mean, you had all kinds of them.
Yes.
They were coming out of the woodworks. They were
Yes.
standing behind me.
Yes. And I won't say anything else because I think as it is, there's a couple of people that are trying to get me into a psych ward, and so I should be careful.
Just kidding.
I don't even know what the hell you did, but whatever.
No, I'm not going to get you in a psych ward, babe. So again, they felt those same kind of experiences, and one of them had described hearing that beautiful music, but they described it more as like wind chimes.
Oh.
So
I got it here.
yeah, real. I mean, so do you keep living?
Yeah, out of your body, I think.
Your
Well, I
energy
guess
continues?
it depends on how you define living, right? Because if living is on this plane, then no, you don't continue living, but your essence does.
Okay. So your essence,
Like
your
like
soul,
that.
your
What was the study with the kids? Did you look into that? The study, because I can't remember. I can't remember what. Hold on, I might have the. Oh no, yeah, that was me. So So the University of Virginia, much to my surprise, has a division of perceptual sciences or studies. Sorry, I'm gonna have to get my laptop.
The struggle.
Struggle bus. Okay.
Perceptual studies?
Yes, perceptual studies. Dude, it's right here. Yes, and it was founded in 1967. So that year also, like, is impressive to me because of how long we've been studying consciousness and the existence of consciousness after life ceases to exist within the body, or that separation of body and soul. So the founder was Dr. Ian Stevenson. And so,
okay.
Stevenson. And essentially, it's a highly productive university-based research group devoted to investigation of phenomena that challenge mainstream scientific paradigms as it relates to the mind and brain, or union of body and mind. Yeah, even that's a loaded sentence, right?
Yeah.
And then, so
many words.
So essentially, it's the study of the continuation of consciousness.
Okay.
Or continuation of soul, is because, in descriptions they do bring up the word soul, but for scientific purposes, it's consciousness, how we're defining that. So really, what they do is they objectively document and rigorously research data suggesting what happens to separate the body and the mind, or soul, however you want to call that. And they've done many studies, among them children who remember previous lives.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, near-death experiences, neuroimaging studies of PSI, and altered, don't ask me what PSI is because I can't remember anymore, altered states of consciousness. And you can find this at med.virginia.edu. What is this called? The diagonal? / perceptual studies. So in the study with the children who remember previous lives, and what's funny is that I mentioned this to you last week before we even started to talk about this specific topic, but I was like, I think that kids at around 2-3 years old, they talk about their previous lives. And so I remember things that I used to say when I was little with certainty, like, oh, I don't do that. Like, no, I don't clean because I have servants. Like, and I got into that habit and got away with it when I was little. Like, people would laugh it off. Yes. Like, I would say that. I used to have servants, so I don't clean.
You're going to put my toys away.
I never did that. Like, I never said you're going to do it, but I never picked up a toy. Like, no matter where I went. Like, God. I don't remember ever picking up my crap.
Did you get good at dodging chanclas?
At home, I did. At home, I picked up my shit.
Oh, but when you went other places, you were royalty.
Yes. Okay. Like, my mom wasn't having that, but I was like, but I know I'm not meant to clean. Like, other people have done this for me before. And, like, for example, Dulce.
Polish my spoons.
Dulce, her daddy will remember. She was 2, and she used to say, this is my boy. And we were like, oh, her pretend boyfriend, but she would be like, this is my boy. And so one time Andrew was like, you know what?
Like to an invisible friend?
Yes.
Okay.
She had her boy, and then there was someone named Alma that she would talk to. And Alma in Spanish means soul.
Perfect.
So she would talk, like have full-blown conversations, and sometimes we would hear her say, like, no, not right now.
Where would she have these conversations? Like, where would she be at?
In the hall. Just random places.
Just at home, other places?
At home.
Only at home.
And if you remember, when I've told you that my ex's siblings, I don't want to say names, like, because I haven't asked them for permission. So they both lived with us for some time at the same time. And they experienced listening to steps, feeling something walking by and feeling like the hair on their neck, like different kind of things. And they would get scared and then go to sleep. But
like
Dulce
that.
would be that, and it would do that. Like, oh, she would be talking, and we would say, oh, who is that? Oh, it's my friend Alma.
Alma.
Yeah,
Oh,
and like,
fuck.
who is that, Mama? Who is that? Who are you talking to? Is this a pretend friend? Like, no, it's my friend. And she
she's
got
late for
super
dinner.
mad, like that kind of thing. So I was talking about that. Like, listen to kids when they say like, oh, I used to do this, or when I used to be small before. Like they're talking about their childhood and their previous life.
Because a lot of kids think they're big.
Yeah, they think
They
they're
just
big.
come
They
out
don't
just-
realize.
Fucking Chihuahua status.
Yeah, they don't realize that they're small.
Yeah.
And then at about age 4, you start forgetting your previous lives completely, and you just start filling your mind with what's here. That's what I believe. So in this
Okay.
study from the what did I say it was called? The Division of Perceptual Studies.
Perceptual studies.
Yes. So they went for years and recollected stories of children that, you know, claimed to have details of previous lives. And there were many characters. There was a little 3 or 4-year-old boy that retold and made drawings of his previous life, and how he was a pilot,
Like a fighter pilot?
yeah, a fighter pilot,
Okay.
and they were able to prove these details. He had specific, clear, vivid details that they were able to prove. And so there's a lot of stories like that that is
yes.
like, okay, then this is the University of Virginia Medical School, so it's not like people are just pulling it out of their asses, you know,
Yeah.
like they went through time to study this through in different countries, different stories, different people, different walks of lives, and we're able to prove so many of these stories. So that, I mean, if that isn't kind of a button, for example,
A Benjamin Button?
Benjamin Button, no, not that kind of button.
Man, I don't know. Like I don't have memories of being in a previous life. Like you said, I used to be a servant or used to have servants.
Yeah,
Like I don't think I ever did that. I don't.
like talk about previous lives.
I mean, I remember having like imaginary friends, but I don't remember like talking about a previous life. Is this my first one?
You think maybe it's like you're a new soul?
Am I a virgin soul?
Maybe not. It's just like, I don't know. Sometimes people
I don't
just
know.
don't remember and aren't connected to.
And my brain sucks. Memory.
No, it doesn't. No, it does not.
My memory is not great.
But it is kind of selective.
It's very
I think
selective.
I think so. Anyway, what should we move on to? I know. I wish I would have looked further into this, but even the CIA had a whole division, Project Stargate, and so they kind of looked into, you know, the life after death and UFOs, like all these things that kind of our government says no, but there's a whole
Yeah.
archives.
We're gonna look into it though.
We'll make like a second.
That's all
part of
bullshit.
this.
That's all bullshit. We should start a program.
Yes.
Get that one.
Oh, and then there's also Dr. Sam Parnia from NYU. He works for them as a pulmonary specialist, and he does trauma care, so he does critical care. Mm-hmm. And
right.
and he's taken to these near-death experiences or people that have completely flatlined, and he is the one that stated the 20 minutes, that there are times where it's been even like 20 minutes, right?
Yeah. Where they
It
bring
was
somebody
more.
back and they're not in a
Yeah.
vegetative state. There's like a I don't know. I think they describe some like careful process of how they resuscitate as well. So it's not just like a straight CPR type of thing.
Yeah, to help, because he thinks there. I can't remember numbers again, like numbers on me right now. They just we're not
42.
associating, but that there was a portion of people that remembered clearly details of all their experience, and same thing, they were able to see very specific things. Or in one case, there was one patient that described to extreme detail the helicopter and when this helicopter parked on the helipad on top of the hospital, and what was going on around the hospital while he's flatlined,
completely gone
in Dr. Parnia's OR. So like that kind of thing, and he's dedicated a lot of his time to study this, and what he's found is that there is an extension of consciousness after any electric conducts from the heart or brain.
Yeah, I just said body stuff.
Oh, body
Yours
stuff.
was way better than what I said.
Body stuff sounds like liquids or discharge.
Yeah, just excrement. Fun. But yeah, I mean, at least for a few minutes after you flatline. So there's that kind of proof.
Yeah.
Like, but again, no proof of what the afterlife really is.
Right. How would we be able to test that? Like maybe at some point, because I'm pretty sure in the time of Galileo, they thought to their view, the earth was flat. And so whatever they thought of the afterlife, now look at where we are, where we're able to provide tangible truths to what's going around, but not really the afterlife itself. Because how, right? Like how to prove it. You experienced it. I experienced it. Yeah. Millions of people around the world and throughout history have experienced it. But how to actually prove it for the rest?
Yeah. And I think what technically we experienced, or at least I experienced, was a near-death experience. So near death. I don't think I flatlined.
No, and neither did I. I'm pretty sure I didn't flatline.
That was absolutely a just mind-changing mind fuck. But in like a really cool way. Like it was kind of
beautiful.
Like almost like scary how pleasant it was.
Yes, almost.
Right.
So, and you said something, everything is last week. Right now, I'm going to just say like Lily. Last night.
Everything last night. Yeah, last night.
When
was that? That was last night.
I don't know how many nights ago, but last night you said that we all, correct me on the line, but you said something like it's like we all live for the best death.
Yeah, we all live, to get the best death.
Yeah, it's like we do things to try to achieve a better afterlife. We save money so that we can have things taken care of for our family and get that, we work on our wills. I would invite everybody to live in a way that absolutely makes them happy and brings them peace, and where you are not harming another person's, like we told the kids, another person's mind, body, or spirit.
Yeah.
And anything that comes around that person. So I would say that that's the invitation.
Yeah. I mean, try and enrich others and yourself.
Yes.
As much as you can.
As much as you can. Write your story however you want it. Imagine Hollywood makes a movie of you with all your truths. What are you going to want that movie to be about? So, I think this is a good place to start. Yeah?
I like it. Let's kill it here.
All right. Let's kill it. But there's more. So, be on the lookout, too, for the elevator. We're going to...
We're dropping that on Friday. It's going to be on Spotify, Apple Music... anywhere you stream. I'll post at least a lyric video to go along with it on Friday. That one I want to put together some cool visuals for you all. But I want you to read along at least. Get to know a little bit about the writing behind it, and that's a lot of what I experienced and described here earlier. So this one means a lot. This one was fun.
So I can say I am very fucking happy to be alive and excited to continue writing my story. And once that Lifetime movie comes out.
Lifetime. We're going for
No?
HBO.
HBO. That's if we get to details, then yes. HBO Max.
Max. Yeah.
Here we come. Thank you so much for listening. Please let us know. We will try to remember to include all of the links. Last time we forgot to include the link for Footsteps, but we'll go ahead and update that information and all of the sources for the stuff that we use today. Please share your opinion. We would love to hear what your story, what your experience, if you have had any stories, whether yourself or a family member, whoever, near-death experience.
But yeah, share your experiences with us. We'd love to hear it. Red and Real Podcast on Instagram. Red and Real Podcast on Facebook. Red and Real on Snap and Twister. Red and Real Podcast at gmail.com. And we'll post all of our links down below. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys